So diabetes essentially is when glucose in your body cannot be consumed in the proper way because either of a lack of insulin or insulin which is there but just not able to do its job properly and transform glucose into energy. So what is insulin resistance? We keep talking about it. So insulin is needed. Insulin is your key. It needs to go into push the glucose into the cell wall. Where does diabetes come from? It mostly comes from what we consume, a lot of it. Now, if you see that this drink of Coca-Cola, which we think, oh, it's only a can of soda, once in a while, it won't cause much of harm to me. It has 9 tablespoons of sugar. Now, that's a lot of sugar. And all these drinks, they have a lot of sugar, except for our wonderful friend, water. So the best thing that you might want to start drinking is water. You have to lose a lot of weight for your diabetes to improve. Actually, there's some good news. You can lose just 7% of your body weight, and it will cause that's about 15 pounds, and you will find that your diabetes improves. Well, if your diabetes is in a really high range with the sugars in the 300s, the herbs are not going to solve your problem. You will need something to bring it down, but herbs will help you. So you don't want to use this as just as your alternative. There are so many diets out there, right? You have a low carb diet, you have a ketogenic diet, you have a low fat diet, you do intermittent fasting, you go to Weight Watchers, you get a paleo diet, whatever. All the kind of diets, essentially what you're trying to do is you're creating what we call a caloric deficit, which means you're just basically consuming less food. And then that less food it depends on what it contains. Essentially, intermittent fasting is when um, you eat for 8 hours and you fast for 16. So you would eat between 10 to 6 or 11 to 7, and you would fast from 7 to 11 or 6 to 10, whichever way. And they say that everything that you eat in the evening after 6 p.m. goes into it gets stored as fat, essentially. So the earlier you eat and the earlier you stop eating is actually the best. So COVID, if your sugars are well controlled, you can still get COVID, just like anybody else. But the chance of you dying from it is very, very low. But if your sugars are not well controlled, then you have all the complications that are associated with it, and then your death rate is high. So to say that you're going to get it because you have diabetes, I don't think you're more susceptible to getting it. But when you do get it, your situation is a lot different than other people.